Now, for the Just As I Am strategy, I recommend two books that have met the students who don't care. Now, I bought this book way back in the 90s. I had the first edition, and that one was called Motivating Kids Who Don't Care. And it was very thin, easy read, and oh my gosh, it has it is just packed of good strategies to help students right where they are. One of them that I didn't at the time, you know how people say, "Oh, that's common sense." Well, sometimes common sense is not common to all. And one of them that affected me was his strategy of effort, of just really focusing in on the effort. And a lot of people said to me at the time, "Oh, that was powerful to me." I was like, wow. And they were like, "Well, Tricia, that's common sense." Well, it wasn't common to me because I came from an environment of perfection. And so I thought, because that was my background, that if it wasn't perfect, after I rewrote my notes two or three times because I didn't like the way I put the words on the paper, I was such a perfectionist, then that was draining to me. And then I would just give up and not do it. And that's usually how perfectionists are. If you can't do it perfect, then you just don't do it. But Dr. Mendel is saying, hey, just keep trying, just give it an effort. And so then when I read Carol Dweck's work of the growth mindset, see, all of those connections in my mind connected. And that is a really good book. Now, on the screen, you'll see where there's a YouTube video where he is talking about his book. And I thought y'all would find that interesting. The other one, oh my gosh, I love this book. Now, I love the first edition, which is Dr. Mazzano and group. Now, this second group, they're building upon the work of Dr. Mazzano, and it is fabulous too. But I just love me some Dr. Mazzano. Oh, I love me some Dr. Mazzano like nobody's business. But anyway, one of the strategies that is in the book is identifying similarities and differences. And I have used that strategy from my time as a teacher at TW Josie. I even used that strategy with teachers when I moved into an administrative and more of a help role. And then when I came back to the classroom, that's been a strategy that I continue to use. And it's a real good one. It is a real good one. That book, Classroom Instruction That Works, is packed with fabulous strategies. One of them is promoting effort. See, they kind of build upon each other. The other one strategy is, in that promoting effort, is feedback, setting the goals and feedback. It is just really good. And again, it meets kids where they are. You don't have to, it is for those two books are just as powerful for a high flyer as it is for a student that needs lots of scaffolding and lots of intervention. It doesn't matter where the student is. It can be one extreme to the other. These two will give you some good insights and help. Yeah. Okay, loves. Now here is an example that I just kind of wanted to show you with this strategy of Just As I Am, of just taking students where they are with the scaffolding and using these two thinking routines. I love the See, Wonder, Think routine, as well as the comparing similarity and differences. And then I love combining the two of them together. Now, when we were in the West African and colonial South Carolina, and we studied about the West Africans and the low country of South Carolina during the colonial times, the enslaved Africans that were brought to South Carolina were brought mostly or mainly from West Africa. They are the ones, a group of people that had the skill and the knowledge of how to grow rice. And that was a big part of the economic and culture of colonial South Carolina in the Low Country. So for this, I just had a slide deck of images that related to the Gullah people. That's what they're known in the coastal areas of South Carolina. And but then I had my lesson on a PowerPoint, and I always have my paper. Now, what you're seeing is what I call my paper formatted, and the children know to get out a sheet of paper and format their paper. That is a scaffolding that I do with everything that I do in my class. Is I show them how I want that paper formatted, and it follows the same routine, like the way we format See Wonder Think. We're gonna use it just like that. And so the children, now there are some students that after the third time, second to third time that we do this See Wonder Think routine, they got that paper formatted down. They don't need they could do it without seeing anything on the screen. But there's some that they need to see that visual. They need to see, especially with my students and your students as well, my loves, that struggle with spatial, I hope I'm saying that right, issues on the paper. Like some children don't realize that the holes are on the left side of the paper and they're right on the back side of the paper, or they don't know, they'll how the spacing of their paper. So this addresses those issues and it helps them. And again, it's my way, and it could be your way of showing the students I'm meeting you just as you are. Now we start there with the scaffolding, and now we're over into February, where now we're at looking at the U.S. Constitution. And now what the children did, they went out on their own to the Google world and found their own images that relate to the U.S. Constitution. This is just the way I'm introducing the U.S. Constitution to them. And they're combining a comparison of the two images with the See Wonder Think routine. And now I know some of you are saying, oh, well, Dr. Mosley, wait a minute now, wait a minute. I see some similarities in the I see part as well as in the both part. Okay, I got where you coming from. So it may not be a perfect world, but I think it is a good world. And it's a good thinking world. Now, as you see, when we did this, when we combined the two, the children laid their paper out on a Google Doc using MLA rules. Now, this is another form of scaffolding that I love doing in my 8th grade classroom, because in my community, the high school, most of my students feed into Strom Thurmond High School. Go Rebels! Strom Thurmond High, class of 84. They feed, so at Thurmond, in the English class, the freshman and sophomore classes, they use MLA, and junior and senior classes, they use APA, so that the children are exposed to this formal writing. So when they go off to school, this formal writing or using the rules of formal writing is not a strange beast to them. So I go on and introduce it and have my students practice it over in the 8th grade classroom. Again, the children that need some scaffolding, they're getting it now. My high flyers, it's the same routine. They, after a couple of times of me going through the paper, now what I do is I have my screen on, I show them how to do it, and we go through it together for as formatting the paper, and I show them how to make the charts and so on and so forth. But the point I'm trying to make is scaffolding You can do it for on simple things, simple tasks, as well as sophisticated tasks. Now, when you look at the document on the right, it looks a lot more sophisticated than our document on the left. But there's been scaffolding used with both of them. And scaffolding is not something, I want to make this real short, I want to make this point before I leave. Scaffolding is something that you don't do one or two times. I have heard so many colleagues, and I have said this myself. I have said myself, well, I did it 3 times. Why didn't they get it after 3 times? Oh, goodness gracious. Who knows how many times someone may need for that scaffolding to be there to take place? Did you learn to ride your bicycle without training wheels? Did you go out and start riding that bicycle without training wheels the first time? No. For some of us, those training wheels may have stayed on that bicycle for 6 months. It doesn't matter how long the training wheels stay. What matters is that you're meeting students just where they are and they're staying engaged. Time on task, engagement / time on task. Most important, just as I am. Just as I am.